A wise woman once said, Do you ever feel like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Now, obviously, that woman was Katy Perry. Hello, I'm Connor. Now, we may not know how that feels like, but we have definitely witnessed it. Every aspect of plastic bags is toxic and harmful. According to the worldcounts.com, production of plastic bags uses about 8% of our oil resources, and they haven't even been around for that long. The main aspect of plastic bags that makes them so harmful is the polyethylene, which, just like plastic, is harmful from the very beginning. Switching to bagless shopping or even reusable bags could significantly change our environment. This year alone, there have been over 1 trillion bags produced, and they're not stopping anytime soon. It's been stated by biologicaldiversity.org that over 100,000 marine animals are killed each year from plastic in the ocean. Not only is the creation of plastic bags avoidable, but it's also a waste of our resources. No longer using plastic bags would be very beneficial for more than one might think. Ridding ourselves of plastic bag usage is something that will affect the whole world, not only environmentally, but also inspirationally. In this presentation, Aaron will be going over how the usage of plastic bags affects the environment. Lily will cover the solutions to our current situation. Andrew will talk about
About 40 years ago, plastic bags became standard at grocery stores in the United States. Americans use approximately 100 billion plastic bags every year. That's equal to 1 million plastic bags every minute. Not much has changed since then, and it shows as it is continuously affecting the environment. Plastic bags' prolific use and overconsumption causes great pain to the natural world by polluting everything green, blue, or anything in between. If you have 2 eyes and have been near sewers, landfills, water sources, or really anywhere close to civilization, those numbers stated earlier shouldn't surprise you. The extraction, transportation, and manufacturing of the raw materials to make plastic bags are one of the major sources of air, water, and land pollution. Fracking for the natural gases used in the extraction of plastic bags uses very large amounts of water and hazardous chemicals, as well as drilling for oil, as it causes the destruction of marine and rainforest habitats. These are just the risks of gathering and making the plastic bags, and that's only the tip of the iceberg for the environmental issue. The ocean is definitely getting the worst of it, with approximately 1 dump truck full of plastic entering the ocean every minute, mainly consisting of plastic bags. Every year, approximately 8 million metric tons of plastic are dumped into our oceans, and they are a source of dioxin and other pollutants that are shifting marine habitats and obstructing the food chain. The Algalita Marine Research Institute conducted a study from 2004 to 2008. In 2004, it showed that for every 1 pound of plankton in the ocean, there were 6 pounds of plastic. In just 4 years, that number skyrocketed to 42 pounds of plastic per 1 pound of plankton in the ocean. That was 12 years ago, and the numbers have only gone up due to the massive plastic pollution. It takes roughly 20 years for plastic bags to decompose in the ocean, so it is a constant threat to marine life. Aquatic animals constantly meet their end by getting stuck in plastic bags, choking and dying, or succumb to a slower death caused by the plastic toxins. This is a worldwide problem on land and in the water, but there are several ways we can fix this epidemic, which brings us to our next point.
With over 100 billion plastic bags being used by consumers annually, that's roughly 330 million people increasing their carbon footprint annually in the United States alone, and spending millions to make and maintain the landfills that hold the bags after one single use. At the rate of current plastic consumption, Business Insider predicts that in 31 years, there will be about 850 to 950 million tons of plastic in the ocean. So how can we avoid such an imposing environmental threat? First, there are reusable mesh produce bags. While these are most effective solely for produce, these bags can be thrown in the washing machine and cleaned as little as one could wish, and as often as one could wish. Paper bags, while not the best alternative, are substantially better than single-use plastic because they degrade at a faster rate. It is approximately 5 to 10 years for decomposition for a paper bag, but in general, It is estimated that plastic bag left in a landfill can take anywhere from 20 years to over 450 years to decompose. The most common alternative is reusable bags, which can be purchased from anywhere between 5 cents and $5. While reusable bag production does take more resources than plastic and also takes a toll on the environment, it can be used substantially more times than single-use plastic, which will create less of an impact on the environment long term. So to decrease the negative impact of plastic bags on the environment and the taxpayer, reusable bags should be adopted by households and businesses. Instead of purchasing alternative bags, anyone can take any common tote bag they own, bring it to the grocery store or mall, and reuse it as often as they shop. Finally, a free option is to simply go bagless. While this is somewhat unrealistic if one was to buy multiple products, some clothing outlets, such as Uptown Cheapskate, suggest going bagless upon checkout. Plastic bags have been a recognizable staple of consumerism for decades, so it's understandable that people would find it difficult to stray from their regular pattern, or they don't want to be inconvenienced by finding alternatives. Harmony Enterprises Incorporated suggests 4 simple, very easy to follow steps. 1 and 2, decline the bag and bring your reusable bags instead. 3, recycle the plastic bags, that way you're taking back a little of that environmental impact. 4, reuse the plastic bags yourself. There's a variety of things you can use them for, projects, simply bring them back to the store, or anything you can think of. With simple research, there are numerous options that a consumer can take to make their shopping and bag usage as environmentally friendly and fiscally responsible as possible. With all these options in mind, we'd now like to discuss the benefits of adopting alternatives to decrease one's amount of plastic bag usage.
All right, so there are a lot of advantages to using plastic or using reusable bags over the disposable plastic ones. So one of the main advantages is that they can save you money in the long run. The reason for this is that a lot of states are currently looking at charging extra for each new plastic bag that a store sells or gives out to patrons. So for instance, in California, there's a 10-cent tax for every plastic bag that's used at a store. And for DC, they passed a law saying they were going to do this in 2009, and it's been that way ever since. And the basic idea of this is that they want to incentivize people to look elsewhere without making it a massive economic problem for each individual patron. However, if you're going to keep using these plastic bags, that cost is going to add up really significantly over the course of several years as people are buying bags and bags and bags and bags. The second issue with that in particular is also the fact that that legislation is fairly popular because it's not too invasive, but it does work away from using plastic bags as often, and that is a net good. So in general, a lot of states are currently considering that. A lot of cities have already passed this, and some states are considering making this a nationwide thing, or a statewide thing. Next up is that one of the problems with plastic bags is also the fact that plastic is made via crude oil and natural gas, and transporting those plastic bags from wherever they're made will also cost a lot in terms of fossil fuel. So really, each individual plastic bag is a major economic hole, pretty much, because they cost so much in terms of natural resources for something that you're probably only going to use for approximately 12 minutes. And on top of that, because of the way they're made, they are entirely non-biodegradable. So once they're thrown away, they will stay there pretty much forever. Eventually, they will break down, but not biologically break down. They'll just break down to a bunch of microplastics, which is actually maybe even worse because you can't see them, but microplastics can still cause a lot of damage on your insides. So in order to remove them from the environment, you have to spend more money. Looking at California again, California will spend approximately $25 million each year to move plastic bags to landfills, and about $8.5 million each year to remove them from the streets, natural areas, parks, etc. So that's about $33.5 million every year. That's all taxpayer money that is spent only on plastic bags and nothing else. And there are a lot of better ways that you could be spending that money. For instance, educational funding, homeless shelters, etc. Something that has a longer lasting impact than, oh, great job, we just got a couple of bags off the streets that should have been avoidable in the first place had people avoided using them. For another advantage, reusable bags are just in general stronger than disposable ones. They're a lot thicker. They can carry a lot more stuff. An interesting problem with disposable plastic bags is the fact that every single time you get one, a lot of the time they end up double bagging it anyway because a single bag would break. So that actually, in some cases, will double the problem. Some stores will almost always double bag stuff to make sure that the bag itself doesn't break. And when that happens, you're making the problem a lot worse because now there's 2 plastic bags instead of 1. Second up is that a lot of stores will actually offer small discounts to patrons who end up using reusable bags. It tends not to be much, but again, every little bit counts. And getting a discount for pretty much nothing is generally pretty nice. And while plastic bags definitely do have their list of uses because a lot of people use them for things like grocery bags and stuff, reusable bags can be used for pretty much anything else that you would typically need a bag for that you couldn't use a plastic bag for. I mean, I think a lot of people can agree that they tend to have a big pile of plastic bags somewhere in their house just in case they need it, but all those bags end up going to is just like putting them in a trash can or something along those lines. But a reusable bag has a way longer list of uses and won't clutter up your house because they're much easier to store. You don't have to just make a huge wad of plastic bags and then shove them somewhere and try to forget about it. You can just fold them and leave them somewhere specific for when you actually need them. The last big improvement would be that there's a general peace of mind to making this switch. See, when you switch over to reusable bags, you're not completely rechanging the environment, but you're doing your personal best to make a change there. And massive change has to start on an individual scale. And that's going to start with you, the individual, deciding, I'm going to start using reusable bags so that I can, if nothing else, prevent my plastic bags from going out into the environment. I mean, we talked about a lot of the problems in our first point because it is a big issue. And we have to definitely consider that. I mean, there's a lot of environmental problems, as previously mentioned, that need to be done away with as quickly as possible. If we can get away with doing that in a relatively non-invasive way, for instance, just using reusable bags, then that's perfectly fine, and we can be a lot better off in general. Again, it's important to remember that any type of major systemic change does have to begin with the individual. You got to start somewhere if you want to make a situation improve, and this is a very easy way to start doing it while also having a pretty good impact on the world around you.
Plastic bags are harmful to everything green, blue, and in between on our planet, including ourselves. Something as simple as making the switch to reusable bags can go a long way in helping solve this problem. The many benefits of switching include that long-term, it can save you money, and you will be helping the earth and making a difference. So if you haven't made the switch to reusable bags yet, what are you doing? Plastic bags are obviously harming our planet, and we've only got one Earth. Help make a stand, help make a difference, and help save the planet. Switch to reusable bags.